Hello, everybody. Alrighty. Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day today. Um. All right. So, little house, little housekeeping, as it were, today. So, I have decided to for now, as many of you know, I've been trying to for the Monday through Thursday shows, the Neats newscast shows. I've been trying to have a co-host on every night to have somebody kind of like bounce stuff off, go through the articles with, and then have somebody else to kind of give their take on it. Um, as many of you know, Rick Piper has been the most consistent individual. We've had Apex on a time or two. We've had Rex on. Um, what I've decided to do, however, because what I found is people that for the most part, most people right now are either seem to be too busy or just not really wanting to do it. I'm going to suspend the Monday through Thursday co-hosting for the time being. You know, until I can get at least one of the. I know Rick Rick will I know Rick is willing and able to do it. At least 2 nights a week. I want to at least find somebody else who might be willing to do it the other 2 nights. So for now, now Grant still will have co-hosts for the historical comics retrospect on Fridays. We plan those weeks, months in advance. So those are still going to be happening. It's just that the experiment in the nightly co-host is for at least the time being suspended till I can at least get at least one other person that I think will be willing and able to commit to it. So just to give you guys a heads up on that. Also, guys, as always, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated if you haven't, of course, if you haven't already yet. And as always, as we go through the articles tonight, feel free to comment and or ask questions and comment and ask questions, and I will hopefully and I will do the best I can to answer the questions the best of my ability. So let's see, we're at 3 minutes mark, 3 minute mark now. So let me do one more quick little thing here, and then we will and I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So let's see. If anybody's on there who might. No, I guess I could send one to. All right. So, anyways, so all right. So now we're coming up on 4 minutes. So basically, here's what's on top for tonight. So I did pick out one article. We may, pick up another one depending on how fast we get through this one. But we're gonna go over to That Park Place, which is a news site that was started up by former Bounding into Comics owner and contributor John F. Trent. Um, got an interesting article tonight on oh, anyways, um, article on apparently, according to his sources, the showrunner for X-Men 97 has apparently been fired. So we're going to be looking at that. Um, Plus, of course, the wrestling wrap up and this day in each history as well. Um, And just as another quick reminder, of course, one, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started then? Let me pull up the article here. All right, so there's a sign. It's that Park Place. Um, all right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started here. Let's see. So let's go ahead and get into this article now. Report: X-Men '97 showrunner fired ahead of series premiere on Disney Plus. Article by John F. Trent, published on March 12th, 2024. So earlier today. Well, let's get into this. A new report claims that X-Men '97 showrunner Bo DeMaio has been fired by Marvel Studios just weeks ahead of the animated series premiering on Disney Plus. I wonder why. And here's Brian DeMaio. This is the guy right here that we're all talking about. Bo DeMaio here, by a cool YouTube guy, YouTube. All right. Boris Kitt and Aaron Couch at the Hollywood Reporter claim DeMaio was fired and quote he quote will no longer be promoting the show or moving forward with future sessions unquote. The report details DeMaio's company email was shut down early last week, and cast and crew for the series were notified he would no longer be working on the project. Again, why the $1 question here, obviously, is why was he fired? This is the guy who was really black, basically just going off on how woke it was going to be and how he was going to just push all this stuff. So I wonder what's going on here. I wonder. So, anyways, as we continue on here, let's see. DeMaio also shut down his Instagram account. The firing comes after DeMaio had reportedly completed writing a second season and was preparing a third season. As for why he was fired, it's still unclear. So we're not even sure why. Could it be that maybe there are certain people who are realizing, hey, we're not, this isn't this isn't what we want here. Let's see, left, and then here's a look from left to right. I guess this is from the show Beast, voiced by George Buza, Wolverine, voiced by Cal Dodd, Morph by J.B. Karliak, Bishop by Isaac Robinson Smith, Rogue by Lenore Zahn, Gambit by A.J. Lacasio, who actually will now have been the third guy to voice Gambit, because there were two guys. Initially, it was Chris Potter who voiced Gambit in the original series back in the '90s, and then Tony Daniels took over for like the last season, I believe. Storm, voiced by Alison Seeley Smith, and then Ray Chase is doing Cyclops this time, replacing Norm Spencer. So the series is already seen by many as dead on arrival, given its embrace of woke identity politics and transgender ideology. DeMaio made this perfectly clear during Marvel's X-Men 60 Uncanny Years live virtual event, where he claimed his identity as a gay black man informed the entire show. He said, quote, came up with a pitch it to Kevin Feige, and you know him and Brad in brackets Winterbomb, um, could not have been more supportive, and also just encouraging to make sure we got it right, unquote. Hmm. Makes me kind of wonder if maybe they had some test screenings of these, and maybe the test screenings didn't go so well. And if that's the case, maybe that's why he got fired. Maybe, maybe they had some test screenings. And they just kind of, I mean, hello, ma, Mamok. How are you? I'm doing fine, especially now you're here. As I said, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let's get back to the article here. Quote, I think one of my favorite parts was like they were truly interested in like what my experience as a black gay man was and how it was going to inform the story we were telling. Yeah, just because the producers are all on board with it doesn't mean that fans, especially the fans of the original show, are gonna be all like, "Woohoo, let's go!" You know, it's like, no, no. Let's see, and that to them was like, that is how we're going to make this authentic. Unquote. He continued, and we of course have talked on several occasions about how and of course we got Gambit Rogue Jubilee now voiced by Holly Chow. I think we went over all that too. Um, yeah. So, anyways, not only did he claim the show is informed by his experience as a black gay man, but when he introduced Morph at San Diego Comic Con, he referred to him as quote unquote themselves, clearly signaling the show is embracing transgender ideology. DeMaio said, quote, Morph decided to show a little bit of a different side to themselves this season. We're going to go with the changeling look. Mm-hmm. And as I think, based on all this, of course, as John was pointing out early on in this article, the show is more than likely DOA. Can I please have mod? Um, let's see. Well, I mean, you've come in, you've been somewhat regular, but it seems like you haven't stuck around. You haven't been, I mean, I still don't really know you. You come in, you say hi and stuff, and that's fine. Um, but obviously, I need to see more. I need to see that you really want to be involved in the community here before I'll mod you. I mean, I don't just I don't I've never been the whole idea of just modding people just to mod them. Yes, some people depends on the situation. Like with some of the other guys who are mods because they're like co-creators, so they can of course share links and stuff like the stuff that they're working on. But I don't mod just to mod. I don't just give out mods like they're candy. Okay, that's just my view on it, because being a mod, the way I look at it, there you do bear some responsibility as a moderator. So Empire Magazine's Helen O'Hara would then confirm that Marvel Studios is treating him as quote unquote non-binary. She wrote in the outlet's April 2024 magazine, quote, the death of shapeshifter Morph in the original animated series, in parentheses, it didn't stick, obviously, on parentheses, was shocking for young viewers, and it stuck with DeMaio, unquote. DeMaio then added, quote, he really set the stakes, and he had a very interesting relationship with the team because of trauma, unquote. O'Hara concluded, quote, this is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play, unquote. And we had Jubilee, um, Morph, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Rogue, Jean Grey, who now will be, well, according to this, that is in fact Jean Grey. Some people have speculated may have been Madeline Pryor, but here they're saying Jean Grey here, and Jennifer Hale's taking over the role from Catherine Disher. Looks like Gambit, Bishop, Beast. All right. Hmm. DeMaio also informed the Direct in July 2022, quote, I don't know if improve would be a word I would use. I think that show is amazing in so many different ways. I think what I would say is that the generation who grew up watching that show, we have grown up and the world is a very different place than when that show first made. And so it's more a question of what does that show look like knowing what we know now, unquote. And I don't think a lot of fans would really care for that idea. He added, quote, and how it looks like in today's world with everything that has changed and everything that hasn't changed, sadly, in our world. That is where I believe my focus has been. The storyteller has really been that, unquote. And there's Storm again, voiced by Allison Seeley Smith. To that end, DeMaio told Animation Magazine that he believes the show's melodrama is the key to the show. Um, he explained, quote, it's the melodrama. We will have the cool powers and villains, but at the end of the day, you're more curious about why Apocalypse rearing his evil head complicates Jean and Scott's marriage more than you are about what is Apocalypse trying to do and um, how are they going to beat him, unquote. Well, okay. First up, I think he got the he got you know he may think that he may think they're more people are more interested in how Apocalypse is going to affect Jean and Scott's marriage, but that I think most people would say is total baloney. Um, total baloney in that I don't think nobody really believes that. Um, Because I know that when I'm watching a good hit superhero cartoon, I'm more interested in watching the power and watching the good guys beat the bad guys. And I think that's most people, right? Um, Anyways, as we of course continue on here, on top of DeMaio's comments, Animation Magazine's Tom McLean confirmed the characters were redesigned with "quote unquote" body diversity in mind. Um, he reported, quote, lead character designer Amelia Vidal says she took advantage of the revival to bring in a full variety of body diversity. Yes, and we've been seeing this quite a bit. I know that there's been quite a bit of, commotion raised, particularly over Rogue's redesign. Anyways, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'm going to put some music on while I'm gone. Um, but I'll be right back. Do need to step away from the computer for a moment. All right. Anyways, I'm back now. So, anyways, yeah. So, getting back to the article here, Vidal told Animation Magazine, quote, for example, if we take Jean, Rogue, Storm, and Jubilee, they all have different body proportions, height, age, physical builds, and posture, attitude. Oh, I guess I'll finish this off, then go back to something I wanted to say here. Quote, in brackets, the X-Men are so different from each other. Celebrating those differences makes each character unique and special, unquote, she added. Now, I want to go back to something I talked about in regards to Rogue's redesign, because I think this is a case where the redesign actually hurt her character as opposed to help it. Okay? Because the point I had made was given Rogue's power, right? Her mutant ability is the ability to absorb people's energy through touch, and with mutants she can absorb their mutant power as well. All right. So when Rogue, her original design from the 90s, where she was quite voluptuous, big boobs, big butt, that kind of thing. Okay, yeah, I know there are a lot of people. There might be some people going, yeah, eye candy, woo. But here's the thing about that too, and being that she also plays off the idea of being kind of the Southern Belle bit too, right? It's the whole idea of the poisonous fruit, right? Because you make her, you really accentuate those body parts, right? And of course guys are going to want to touch it, right? but then you got the whole poisonous fruit aspect of it, where where well, if you make contact with her actual skin, it's gonna cost you. It's like she's somewhat protected from anybody who's going to try to get fresh with her, because as soon as they make contact with her skin, right? No, but I mean, it's a double-edged sword too. It's a double-edged sword in that she wants to have a relationship. She, obviously she and Gambit have a budding romance there, but how are they going to how are they going to be intimate when, if he touches her, she's going to suck not just his life energy but his powers out of him, right? I mean, it is only temporary, you know unless he holds on for a real long time, like she did with Miss Marvel, and sucked almost her entire essence um into her, but that's the thing, they want to push this agenda, the body positive stuff, the body diversity stuff, but in the Rogue's case, I think it actually hurts her character, because you know that it was the whole poisonous fruit element there that really made added to that dynamic, and then you take that away by deciding, okay, we're going to make her flat chested, we're going to make her butt flat, she's not to where people are not going to want to touch her, you know people are not going to want to touch her. uh oh, that's just you know that's just kind of the my thoughts on it, but anyways, continuing on. Oh, okay. What do you make of Bo DeMaio being fired? Um, oh, this is something maybe I'll have to check that out. Huh. But again, but again, in this whole, we've talked a lot about this, how these changes can, sometimes somewhat backfire, because the fans are not all that happy with Rogue's change, with Rogue's changes in particular. You also have a case where you also have a case where in this where in this case it actually hurts Rogue's character. So, anyways, let's all right. So let's see. Is there anything else here? We've already gone through all that. So, all right. Let's see. Let's see what else maybe we can find. It. Let's see if there's. I think we got still. If we can find a shorty, here. Maybe we if not, then we'll get ready to move on here. Oh, actually, it also would appear Bounding in the Comics. Also, well, I guess a couple of more articles came out. Spencer McCooley is also. So we'll follow that. We'll follow up the previous story with Spencer McCooley's take on the situation here. You know, All right, so let's see, 30. All right, so X-Men 90. So this is now the Bounding in the Comics version of the article. X-Men 97 showrunner Bo DeMaio gets the boot from Marvel Studios just days before series premiere. Yeah, they Trent was just saying. John Trent was just saying was shortly before. Um, Spencer here is specifying that it's just days before series premiere. Delete social media accounts in response. Article by Spencer McCooley published on published earlier today. So let's see if there's anything. See if there's anything here. New. New or changed. So, in summing their latest in a long long list. Again, editing issues, beat of Black Eyes. Um, just days before the animated series revival was set to debut, Marvel Studios has reportedly fired X-Men 97 showrunner Bo DeMaio. Staffing shakeup was first revealed to the public on the morning of March 12th, courtesy of Hollywood reporters Boris Kitt and Aaron Couch. So, okay, according to the pair of noted Marvel Studios reporters, DeMaio was quote unquote suddenly let go by the House of Mouse sometime early last week, at which time his company email was deactivated, and the rest of the X-Men 97 production team was made aware that he would no longer be attached to the I mean, here's one of the other things. One of the other things I didn't necessarily say in the article. Now that I just read that again too. Um, how everything kind of just went boom, 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 like he was all of a sudden like fired. Did he say? You have to wonder if maybe he said something or did something that really just seriously got him in trouble. But following his pink slipping, the Moon Knight writer scrubbed the internet of his social media accounts. In particular, his Instagram account, which he had been using to provide production updates on X-Men, which of course now he won't be because he's no longer involved in the project. You almost get, now I read that again, it does kind of give me pause. You have to wonder if something like major happened where there's some major friction going on here somewhere. Notably, it appears that in attention to the public, in addition to the public, DeMaio himself was also caught off guard by the as immediately prior to his release, he reportedly quote had completed writing duties on season 2 of X-Men 97, was lining up press in brackets for the series and making plans to attend the show's Hollywood premiere on March 13th in brackets, and was even discussing loose ideas for a third season with members of his team. Yeah, the more we read into this, the more like you wonder if something happened, because even now, at least one thing out here that we didn't see in John Trent's article is that he was even caught. He was apparently even caught by surprise um, with this. So that should tell you something. Um, as of writing, it remains unclear as to the exact reason why the showrunner was let go by Marvel Studios, as well as why he chose to respond to the news by deleting his entire internet presence. That, what that might indicate, maybe he posted something he wasn't supposed to. You know, a lot of times, I know they make a big deal about this in the anime industry as well. Anime and manga, but kind of an NDA. You have to almost kind of wonder, did he post something that he wasn't supposed to post? You know, that's kind of something that may be. Again, we can speculate all we want because basically, but we don't know for sure because nobody's come out with it, explaining why. So, but anyways, however, given the timing of his firing coming in just a little over a week before X-Men 97 is set to finally make its debut and the severity of his response, circumstances suggest that whatever transgression eventually led to his firing may have been particularly egregious. Yeah, I picked up on that same idea too. I picked up on that same idea too. Um, while the result of DeMaio's work on the series' first season remains to be seen, according to the now former showrunner himself, it was supposedly focused on the idea. Again, bounding into comics, and I've said this quite a bit over the last few days here. Since John Trent leaving Bounding into Comics, the editing has gotten worse. You see more and more of these like little faux pas here. It will supposedly focus. It was supposedly focus. Well, I think it could be done either one of two ways. Either it was supposedly focused on the idea, or supposed to focus on the idea of X-Men as outsiders. Marvel Studios hoped would be informed by his own experiences as a black gay man. As we pointed out too, it was more Kevin Feige and the other producer involved that were more lenient. And we already read that part in the other article, so but this part, so quote, because really what you're talking about with X-Men, I don't care what your religion, your nationality, your sex, your gender. You walk into a room full of people and you've gone in small quotes. Oh my gosh, there's no one in here like me, unquote. And I think that is ultimately what X-Men is trying to get at, unquote. Well, the problem was there weren't a lot of people like you back in the 60s when, they weren't out in the open. Well, there weren't a lot of people, obviously the world's grown. We have more population. Therefore, yeah, you're going to have more people like you now. But, you know, all right. Anyways, we get back to the article here. Let's see. I think that okay. He continued. Well, okay, that's the problem though. We even talked about this, of course, the other day too. Um, that's not necessarily what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby initially thought back when they created the X-Men. You know, um, they weren't looking to have any kind of analogs to current world. They were just trying to tell a good story. And if anything, the whole idea of mutancy was just kind of a lazy way to, instead of having to come up with a different, you couldn't have as Stan Lee said in the article that we talked about, you can't just have radioactive radioactive spider biting everybody, or you can't just have everybody involved in a gamma explosion, you know. So I mean, you have to find something make it different. Uh, Quote: "We've just assembled a great team of really amazing directors and artists, and storyboard artists and writers to just get this right. Really drill down to what I think the X-Men's always going to be about, which is just, we talk a lot about the dream is social acceptance and it's social justice. But most fans do not care for most people who were fans of the original show do not want to be preached at about social justice. They just want a good story. You know, I made it decent. Okay. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, getting back to the article, then here. Let's see. The first season of X-Men '97 is currently on track to unlock its X gene on March 20th. So, let's see. Today, yeah, a little over a week here because today is the 12th. So, week from tomorrow, next Wednesday. So, I think we will start to wind down a bit here. We're at the 43-minute mark, so we're gonna do quick wrestling wrap up. Not really, again, there's some stuff go over from last night's Raw real quick, and then some news items come from all that. So, of course, on last night's Monday Night Raw, um, Becky Lynch defeated Liv Morgan. To open up the night. And then Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae defeated Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree in a match in which at one point they touched upon some real life issues with Maxine Dupree where some people felt it may have gone a little too far. As Candice LeRae actually mentioned Dupree's real life brother's death. There are some people may have been decrying that, even though we've seen other people do that, kind of like Christian. We've seen that happen. So I mean, the Kabuki Warrior, the Damage Control's Kabuki Warriors defended the women's WWE women's tag titles against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Damian Priest defeated R-Truth, and in the number one contendership Gauntlet Battle Royal, Sami Zayn outlasted Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, JD McDonough, Ricochet, and Shinsuke Nakamura to earn a title shot at Gunther. Now, supposedly in the final pinfall there's some people saying that maybe because of how he had him rolled up or whatever, that maybe Sammy did not actually pin Chad Gable. There's some talk that they may be using this to maybe turn the singles match between Zayn and Gunther into a three-way. So and in other WWE news, of course, so supposedly Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon were apparently named in the lawsuit against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. Janelle Grant's lawsuit claiming they sex trafficked her and all that. But supposedly, while they were not actually named, but they have supposedly they have been identified as Nick Khan and the three. I guess all four have been identified. Four corporate officers have been identified, including Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon, as well as Brian Blum and former chief. And I can't even remember the the counsel's name right now. But so that even though in Stephanie's case, there's only like one or two lines where she's even mentioned there. So, but there's also no indication that they're actually involved in any of the actual shenanigans involving McMahon. The implication is that maybe at least some of the parties involved may have tried to kind of kind of sweep it under the rug, as it were. So, anyways, and then in AEW news, of course, tomorrow night we got Dynamite. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow night. When we get to that point. One major news piece coming out of AEW is that Miro and CJ Perry, who everybody remembers as Lana in the WWE, they have now announced that they are separating in real life. They have decided to separate, amicably, apparently. CJ has even indicated she would look forward to working with Miro in the future, on stage. Kind of similar situation that, Miss Elizabeth found herself in with Randy Savage years ago. But Miro and CJ Perry are, granted, not that normally we don't really talk a lot about that stuff because that's not, as much, just more the personal interest aspect of it. So with that, that's all I have for the wrestling wrap-up tonight. So now I'm going to go ahead and just in case you guys are wondering, as I said, we're going to suspend the nightly newscast co-hosting for a while so I can find somebody to find at least one more person to commit to it. So but with that, why don't we go ahead and 1994 2014 2019 and 1954. Okay, well, today being Tuesday, March the 12th, 2022. Let's take a look back at this day in Meech history. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so now first I'm going to head back to 1954. And on this date in 1954, which was 70 years ago today, the 50th issue of Movie Tone's Animal Antics went on sale on newsstands from DC, a bi-monthly book 10 cents, 32 pages. Featured Raccoon Kids, Frady Cat, and I don't believe that's the same Frady Cat that premiered later on, mind you. Dizzy Dog and Biggity Bear. So on this date, 70 years ago today, the 50th issue of Movietone's Animal Antics in DC, from the National Comic Publications Incorporated, went on sale on this date back in 1954. Now we move ahead to 1994, which was just 30 years ago today. On this date, 30 years ago today, Shin-El Animation's Doraemon, Nobita's Three Visionary Swordsmen, and Toei Animation's Dragon Ball Z Broly Second Coming both premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 1994. So 30 years ago today, Shin-El Animation's Doraemon, Nobita's Three Visionary Swordsmen, and Toei Animation's Dragon Ball Z Broly Second Coming both premiered in Japanese movie theaters on this date back in 1994. With that, getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history. Move ahead to 2014 here. On this date in 2014, Nerds and Monsters, a Canadian animated television series, premiered on YTV on this date back 10 years ago today, back in 2014. On this date back in 2014, Nerds and Monsters premiered on YTV in Canada. It was produced by Slap Happy Cartoons Incorporated and 9 Story Media Group. So on this date, 10 years ago today, the Canadian animated television series Nerds and Monsters premiered on YTV. And finally, going back to just 5 years ago today, back in 2019, on this date 5 years ago today, in 2019, in the follow-up to the Fastlane pay-per-view, WWE held its SmackDown Live event from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. The card saw in the main event Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan defeat Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali. Rey Mysterio Jr. and R-Truth defeated Samoa Joe and Andrade. You also, in the opening match, saw Aleister Black, Ricochet, and the Hardy Boys take on the Bar, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura, and they ended in a double disqualification match in that 8-man tag. So that happened just 5 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here tomorrow with more niche news, and I repeat again that we're going to suspend the co-hosting for the niche newscast shows for now. I may try them again a little later. We still will have, of course, the co-host on the historical comic retro. This Friday, of course, Tim Olson will be joining me as we'll be looking at comics that went on sale in February 1940 from Marvel Comics. So with that, I thank everyone for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye!